Hey guys, my name's Jacob and welcome to my first video in about 5 years. I thought I'd give this a try and get back into it. So I don't know if this will be a regular thing or not yet, but if you're into this, let me know and I'll keep doing them. Today I'm building a simple and quick apartment building. It took me about 2 hours overall. That's in this video and part 2, which I'll have up pretty soon. This is for a game I'm working on, and I figured it would be good to multitask. I can record videos while I build for it, and that's sort of doing 2 things at once, and it keeps me from slacking off and keeps me on task while I'm building. If I do keep doing these videos, I'll probably also do videos not just for Roblox, but also for The Sims, Minecraft, and other games where you can build stuff. I might also do videos for things like Blender and Rhino as 3D modeling softwares that can also be fun and helpful for making things. So you'll notice that I start out making this by figuring out the shape. I sort of use these blocks to figure out like the form of the building and to see what it's kind of going to look like. So that's what I'll be doing for the first little bit of this video. Right now I'm just figuring out the shape for the upper floor. I sort of had an idea that I wanted it to be like this staggered box shape that sort of fits in with the character of this sort of architectural style that I'm going for. So it kind of like rotates around like that, and in each of those divots you'll have balconies and stuff. And so I was just sort of figuring out the shape of it and the size of it and the window layout. So what I do for the window and balcony layout is I do these white bricks that sort of act as a placement holder for where the windows will go and where the balconies will go. So these are just sort of a placeholder, and it lets me see what the window and door layout will look like before I actually try putting them in. And I also use these white bricks as a way to cut out the windows because that makes this process a little bit faster, and this building doesn't need an interior because it's just one of the display buildings in the city. So it's fine to just have a solid block with windows and doors cut out of it. So that's what those are. Building in this way is a way that really works for me. I think it's easier to visualize what you're doing when you can actually see the shape and the form and the placement of most things before you actually commit to it. So that's why you can see me like moving around windows and stuff to try to get it right before I actually go ahead and commit to that as my final vision for like the building. And I think I would recommend giving this method a try when you're building things like this, because I think it's a lot faster and I think it's easier to visualize, and I think it leads to a little bit of a better end product because you're not fiddling around with things as much as you would otherwise, like resizing parts in different sizes and like trying to make actual walls and stuff. It's better when you're just dealing with like a solid block and like these placements that you then like cut out of it, as opposed to like trying to build up walls and like messing around with the parts that would like build those walls up and stuff. So I think this is just a better, simpler, and easier way to do it. You can see me still moving around and placing the windows. Once I get like one side, I make it more or less symmetrical, so then I go around placing those on the other side like that. I know it doesn't look like I'm doing a lot right now, but it sort of all comes together at the end, so it's kind of interesting to see it in that regard. But right now you can just see me like stacking up the building to get it to the height I want. And then now I'm just sort of dealing with the whole form of like the whole building. So I'm working on this side piece that sort of acts as a wall that'll face the next lot over, so that it's not too low on that side, and so we don't have a wall facing this way as opposed to a wall facing the other way. And here's where I start getting into a little bit of making the details. So right now I'm making the, what's it called? It's the cornice, I guess, on top of the building. So I'm just using like the balconies and the shape of the building itself to make that. And then I actually had a lot of issues making this because it was having trouble with the unions. So I cut some of that out, but you'll probably see a little bit of me fiddling around with it a little later. But anyway, what I usually do is I make it one stud bigger than the shape of the building itself, and that sort of brings a little bit of detail to like the shadows and stuff. And so you'll see a lot of times I use these little little steps or little indentions in a lot of things, like the windows and the cornices and the balconies and stuff. And that sort of just like makes a little bit of like a light like a little light shadow when you see it, and that makes things look a lot more detailed even if you're not using a lot more parts or even a lot more detail itself. It just sort of like makes it look a little bit more. And yeah, you can see right there the issues I was having with the union, so I went and did it again. And it's interesting now because we basically have the form of the complete building, and all we're really doing from now on is making the details and stuff. So here you can see me like starting to make the balconies, and I'll start putting in the windows and laying out the windows and the layout for those, and making the railings and stuff. So a lot of times it looks like I just bring in a random object or part. It's just because I cut out me like going and trying to find it. But I've made a lot of these things before for like other apartment buildings and stuff that I've made. So instead of like making something completely new, I just take a part that I've already made and sort of bring it in. And you can kind of see down on the bottom right of the screen there that you can see the buildings I got it from, which are apartment buildings I made before. I also try to reuse assets that I've made before because it's just more helpful in the game to have fewer different types of assets and just reuse more. It saves you time, and it also saves like performance. That way you're not having to load in all these different assets when you join the game, as opposed to just loading in a few and having them in a bunch of places. So that's why I usually use a lot of the same pieces. Especially doors and windows and stuff, because those ones, they can work on like almost anything you make, like any building. Also, I don't know if you just heard a change in the sound of my microphone, but I just realized that I had it set to omnidirectional instead of cardioid, so it might have been picking up background noise. I'm sorry for that. But anyways, now you can see me laying out the doors and stuff. So what I do is I put them on top of these blocks, these white blocks that I put, and then I usually sink them down into there to get them at the right position, and then I push them back like into the wall, as you can see, and that'll put them in the right position whenever I go to actually put them into the final building. And so each of these will have their same layout for the floor, because every floor is the same. I can just go through and have it set to the distance that the floors are thick and just like place them in really quick, and you'll see that happen closer to when I'm completing it. But yeah, you can see that this is I think this is, at least, that this is a really quick way to do things, as opposed to individually putting every window in, or however other way that you would do it if you were actually building the walls instead of just cutting the holes out. So you can see I just like sunk all those down and then set it into the part that I had made. And I made like a set, window set. And now I'm just making sure that this whole thing is one piece. And that's so that I can cut all the windows out eventually. And then we'll just be able to put all the windows in, and it'll look pretty much done. Like the set of the windows and the balconies. And now I'm just doing the parapet on the other side. And I did it the exact same way I did the other one. I also had issues with this one, but I don't know, the new union system. Ever since I did that, it's a little bit weird sometimes. I mean, it's more reliable than the one they had before, where sometimes it would just like error out and wouldn't do anything. But now I think the problem is mostly that it like just does like these weird artifacts sometimes, where it'll leave like a face somewhere where it shouldn't be. But that's fine. It usually works better in most circumstances, especially like when you're doing more complicated things or things where you have to cut out pieces. It works a little bit better. I mean, sometimes you'll have a little bit left over or something that you don't really want, but I think it's an improvement from what we had before. And plus the new shading methods that they have, where you can choose the smoothing angle and stuff. That's really helpful. Before it would just like automatically smooth it. So I think it's an improvement a little bit. And just now you'll see me switch around to the front side so that I can do the windows on that side. So here I'm just laying out the windows for this side, just like I did for the main tower. And I don't know, I think I had a little bit of trouble figuring this part out, because I didn't know how I wanted the windows and whether I wanted them to be like evenly spaced or not. So it was a little bit of a trouble there. So I don't know if you'll notice in the video that I'm fiddling around with it a lot. Although I did cut most of that out, so you probably won't see most of it. And here I am just trying to line up the windows and the balconies, and you'll see pretty quickly after I make this template for the lower parts, the non-tower part, I don't know what to call it, then I'll go through and cut out all the windows. And then once I drop the windows in, it looks like very different. And that's really the part that makes all the difference, really, to the look of the complete building, like whether it looks complete or not, is really just whether the windows are in. So you see me just deleting the balconies to prepare for cutting all the windows out. And I guess that's really what goes to show that the walls aren't really what make the building look more detailed, but it's like the windows and the balconies and stuff. So you can literally have like these flat, boring, like just solid brick walls, and then you have like nice windows, nice balconies, and a little cornice on top that gives it a little bit of lighting, and that really makes it look more detailed, even if it's really not. So I guess that's a good tip for when you're going about building these types of buildings. So what you'll notice now is it looks pretty incomplete, and then suddenly once I drop all the windows in and change the materials, it goes from looking pretty incomplete to looking almost like basically done. And I don't do the bottom part in this video, that's in the next part, so you'll see the little convenience store next time. I don't know when I'll have that video out, but hopefully it's pretty soon. I'm just gonna finish up these little details, and then I'll do a little fly around so you can see. So I guess it's about time to wrap up this video. If you liked it, please give the video a like, and please subscribe. It would really help me. Let me know if you'd like to see anything else, like what types of things you'd like to see. So anyway, take care, and I'll see you next time.